Indie horror has been the go-to genre for a large number of developers across India. While most games focus on the tried and tested formulae, some developers are trying something out of the box. The latest example of this fresh thinking is Thekku Island from Ales Devs Games. Set in rural Kerala and built around atmospheric exploration rather than action, the game aims to deliver a compact horror experience. Does Thekku Island succeed in delivering a compelling experience based on Indian folklore with cultural authenticity? I'm Srinath and let's find out in today's review of this game. The game opens with a beautiful hand-drawn animated sequence set in 1783 Kerala, depicting a village struck by a mysterious supernatural event. The game picks up right after with a quick time skip to 1984, where the player assumes the role of an unnamed middle-aged man whose wife has gone missing. Most of the narrative context is established through the opening cutscene, rather than through in-game exposition as with established titles like Silent Hill or Resident Evil. Notes scattered throughout the mansion primarily serve as directional hints, guiding the player towards objectives or puzzle solutions. Meanwhile, the environment consists of blood-stained walls, unsettling paintings like the Kathakali one, and cryptic markings. The lore is simple but effective. However, the final resolution of the game did feel too convenient and direct in retrospect. Thekku Island is a first-person exploration horror game with a heavy emphasis on environmental puzzles and atmospheric tension. There is no combat, and the game's primary gameplay loop revolves around navigating the mansion, uncovering clues, and solving progression puzzles. The mansion contains numerous rooms, trapdoors, locked doors, and hidden passages that encourage thorough exploration. Navigation rarely becomes frustrating, thanks to the game's fairly linear progression, though players who struggle with spatial orientation may occasionally lose their bearings. Unlike most other horror games, where players have unlimited light as a resource, the torch in Thekku Island consumes torch oil, which must be replenished periodically. Torch oil is plentiful enough across the game that players rarely feel punished for being slightly careless. However, the mechanic still contributes to the atmosphere by forcing players to pay attention to their resources. At the same time, the illumination radius of the torch is surprisingly small, sometimes making it difficult to see at a distance even inside relatively small rooms. While this likely serves to heighten the horror element, it occasionally feels less natural than intended. Where Thekku Island truly excels is in its sound design. The game relies heavily on audio cues to build tension throughout the mansion. Subtle ambient sounds, distant echoes, and carefully timed musical stings create a persistent sense of unease. The soundtrack does an especially good job of reinforcing the game's mood without overwhelming the player. Jump scares are used frequently but sparingly enough that they rarely become predictable. Amidst all this, the game still tries to mix things up. The primary example of this is an unusual and perhaps the most fun interaction that we found in the game, involving a ball towards the beginning of the game. Visually, Thekku Island stands out for its commitment to recreating the look and feel of rural Kerala from the 1980s. The game features architectural elements typical of a traditional Kerala house, including an indoor courtyard, a nadumuttam. Much of the in-game text and audio is presented in Malayalam, with subtitles in English. This decision adds a layer of authenticity grounding the supernatural elements within the cultural setting of Kerala. Environmental details like Malayalam newspapers, traditional utensils, and familiar household items populating the rooms reinforce this setting. During our time playing the game on our high-end system running an Intel Core Ultra 9 285K and Nvidia GeForce RTX 5080, we did not see any major bugs or glitches. Overall, Thekku Island performs well, offering a stable 60 frames per second without any noticeable performance dips. Thekku Island is priced at Rs 399 on Steam, which would have been alright if it wasn't for the roughly 1 hour gameplay experience you get. While the game launched with a 15% introductory discount, bringing the price down to 339 rupees for early buyers, the runtime of the game that ends just as its ideas and expectations begin to develop makes the value discussion challenging. Even with a polished and focused atmospheric horror experience, the rushed ending after the final puzzle does not help its case, especially in a world where AAA titles are available at a similar price after deep discounts. Thekku Island is a short but effective atmospheric horror game that stands out primarily for its sound design and culturally grounded setting. Its depiction of rural Kerala, combined with carefully paced scares and strong audio score, gives the game a distinctive identity among the plethora of indie horror titles made in India. Although its brief runtime and simple narrative resolution limit its overall impact, the experience remains consistently engaging from beginning to end. For players interested in compact horror experiences and games rooted in Indian settings, Thekku Island is worth their time. However, the runtime makes the value challenging. Our score for this game is a 7. Let us know what you think about the game in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next one.